Thank you. And I want to welcome everybody to today's very special Call Me American book discussion. I'm Sally Goodman, Director of Library Services at Coastal. And with me today is Virginia March, Onslow County Public Library Director, Kim Lancaster, Sociology Instructor, and Coastal Librarian Lauren Pizzuara, who will be moderating the chat box for us today. I would like to give a special shout out to any of Miss Bernadine's students who are attending today. We're so happy to have you. And before introducing our special guests, I do have a few announcements. Because we're limited to an hour and there is so much we want to cover, we ask that everyone please mute your microphones, and we encourage you to ask questions or make comments in the chat box throughout the discussion. Lauren will work her magic by sharing your questions and comments during the discussion. If we had more time, we'd be able to open up for the microphones, but we want to get in as much as we can during this precious hour. Second announcement, if you're a Coastal student and you're attending today for extra credit, please wait until the end of the discussion when Lauren will ask you to put your name and your instructor's name in the chat box. And then we will make sure that your instructor is notified of your attendance today. And lastly, at the end of the discussion, we'll have our traditional raffle when 2 lucky people will be chosen from the raffle wheel to win an OBOC tumbler. So that'll take place at the end of the discussion. So now let's get to why we're here today. And I am beyond honored and delighted to introduce our 2 special guests. Abdi Nor Iftin, author of Call Me American, is here with us all the way from Maine. Abdi, I do have to ask you, what's the temperature? What's the temperature in Maine?
I think it's in the 20s today.
Oh, that's warm.
Yep.
Because Abdi's story has touched so many readers in our community, he's become our literary celebrity and friend. And welcome, Abdi. We're so happy to have you with us today.
Thank you so very much. I'm honored.
We also have Coastal student and friend Fetihya Hall with us today, all the way from Jacksonville. And Fetihya will be sharing her experience immigrating to the United States from Ethiopia at the age of 23. Fetihya is a remarkable woman, and like Abdi, has an inspirational story to tell that she hopes will become a published book someday. So a heartfelt welcome to Fetihya.
Thank you for having me here.
And for all you attendees, we'd like to share with you that Abdi and Fetihya have become friends, which is a wonderful thing. We thought it might be fun to start off with a get to know you activity, and we're calling it This or That. And I'm going to turn it over to Lauren. Take it away, Lauren.
Hi guys, so yes, we are going to play This or That with Abdi and Fetihya. So it's really easy, Abdi and Fetihya. All you have to do is quickly tell us your preference. So this is a lightning round, so don't think, just tell us this or that. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Ready for it? Okay. First question. Are you an early bird or a night owl?
Early bird.
Early bird.
Early bird, both of you. Excellent. Next question. Let's see. Coffee or tea?
Yeah, I'll say both.
Coffee, and Abdi drinks them both? Can't choose. Nice. All right. Next question. Winter or summer?
Oh, summer.
Summer.
Really? That you had so many great photos in like the snow up in Maine. That really surprises me.
Well, I know it looks beautiful, but it's very freezing. Definitely freezing.
Next question. Would you rather go stargazing at night or have a nice morning walk?
I would go stargazing at night.
What about
And morning walk
Morning walks.
Mm.
Okay, ocean or mountains?
Mm.
Ocean.
Mountains.
Oh,
Yes.
Nice. Okay, salty or sweet?
Say that again, Lauren.
Salty or sweet?
Oh,
What kind of
sweet.
food do you like? Sweet?
Salty.
Salty.
Wow.
You guys are like opposites.
I know.
Except for the summer. You both definitely like summer. Sunny or rainy?
I love raining.
Rainy for me.
Rainy, yeah, me too. Very cozy. Okay. Spring or fall?
Fall.
Spring.
And fall must be so
Oh,
beautiful.
come on, Fetihya.
Live,
Look at all those gorgeous colors on the trees.
Last question. Sambusa or baklava?
Sambusa.
Sambusa.
There we go. That one was an easy one. All right. Thank you guys so much for playing.
Well, thank
and
you
now
for the wonderful questions. They were awesome.
And now that we know our Abdi and our Fetihya a little bit better, we are going to go ahead and dive in with our questions. I think Kim.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go ahead, Lauren, if that's okay. Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
I just want to let everybody know that although today's discussion is supposed to be about chapters 10 through 13 in Call Me American, we realize some of you may just be starting the book, and many of you may have already finished the book, and others have just finished chapters 10 through 13. So no matter where you are in the book, I guarantee you're going to be glad you attended today's discussion and will be comfortable. And I have the pleasure of asking the first question. Abdi, you stayed in chapter 10. I knew I might die trying, but I would surely die staying. Every day was a matter of life or death. This was when you knew you had to leave Somalia. Would you speak more about that decision and how you maintained your determination? And Abdi, when you're finished, if Fetihya, would you share with us how you came to your decision to leave Ethiopia and how you maintained your determination to get to America?
Thank
Abdi?
you. Really, yes, yes. Thank you. It's a yeah. I think the sentence speak for themselves. What I was trying to convey at the time was the desperation and the devastation of emotions and feelings, and particularly in a nation that has over 75% young men of my age. Um, so there were a few options available at the time, as you can imagine. One was to join the work that was happening at the time. And I'm using the word work, which is kind of interesting because it's more like joining an army or a group, or you have to be on the other side, meaning you're the one that they will come after. So you have to stay in any way that you can. And in that chapter particularly, there was no vision of America anywhere near. I have tried a couple times, at least, to even try one of those crowded boats that dock on the land of Somalia and then cross the Gulf of Aden that goes to Yemen. I actually didn't have, basically, did not collect enough money to be able to use that boat, because for now that would have been a different, somewhere a different direction of my own journey that I would have been on to. To summarize, I mean, I think I was basically trying to speak of those emotions that existed at the time, that you either have to try or even die trying. There was nothing in between. It was just the whole day was going through that survival. Go ahead, Fetihya.
Thank you, Abdi. Fetihya, would you like to share how you came to your decision at the age of 23 to leave Ethiopia?
For me, I knew that I couldn't stay in Ethiopia. And I know we have short time to go deep and share, but I left age 11 and go to Djibouti. And I came back to Ethiopia. Then I looked at life. I felt like this is not the place that I know I will not grow or survive and being in Ethiopia. So I did went back to Djibouti when I was age 14. And then Djibouti has more opportunity than in Ethiopia. I could went like Yemen, Saudi Arabia, and other country, but because I was young, I didn't have money. So I know my option is to go to Djibouti, and I became maid. Um, then I found better job to survive, to send money to my mom. And then when I get to age 19, 20, and I start working like big place in Sheraton Hotel. And that's when I met Yasmin, dad, my ex-husband. And it's a more story, but yeah, that's how I knew I couldn't stay in Ethiopia to survive, and I have to leave. Like age 11, I knew I couldn't.
We're going to show the map here for everybody. Lauren is going to bring up the map of Africa to be able to see Somalia in relation to Ethiopia and their journeys. This is pretty cool.
And just really quickly to add, I hope I turned my microphone on. So our purple spot shows us where Fetihya was born, and then this is where Abdi was born, but the marker is being covered up by another marker. So that's where they are, and then all of the green dots show us Abdi's journey that brought him to the United States. So, right? And this is where we are now.
Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you.
And thank you, Fetihya, for sharing that answer. Kim, I think you have the question for both Abdi and Fetihya. I think Abdi
I think we just
might have
lost
lost
Abdi.
a
Yeah.
second. So
Yeah. I'll give him a minute to come back.
Yeah,
yeah, there's quite a distance between North Carolina and Maine.
Yeah.
18 hours to be exact.
Oh no.
And we do have a few questions in the chat. So as we're waiting for Abdi to rejoin us, we can kind of ask those towards the end. Anything that's like Eric had a question about the writing process, so I'm going to save that for the end, Eric. Yeah.
He's on.
Oh, here he comes. He's coming back.
Here he is.
Hey, I'm sorry, my screen froze for some reason.
No problem.
No
There
problem.
we go. All right. Here we go.
It's because it's 27 degrees, Abdi.
Right.
It is.
Okay. Kim's going to ask our second question.
Okay, so our second question, this is to Abdi, but then also to you, Fetihya, at the end. Abdi, in chapter 11, your life changes when you get to meet Paul Salopek, the reporter from the Chicago Tribune. Not only do you get to drink your first Pepsi, but you hear Paul's words, "You will get to America." Would you speak to that moment and then the eventual support that you got from Team Abdi? And then Fetihya, when he's finished, if you could kind of talk about some of the support that you received.
Thank you. I think that day and that moment was one of the turning points in the journey itself. Paul and I didn't have a pre-arranged sort of meeting, and it all happened by luck. I was walking around the streets at the time, and I was really wondering. I think what, if you could ask what was on my mind, was that I felt I was not sure where I was going, and I was not even sure where I was coming from. And then here was Paul and his team taking pictures and, kind of like trying to record the things that he saw in his own eyes, and himself taking the risk of coming to Mogadishu at a time when the war was happening. Half of the city was burning. You could see smoke rising from everywhere. And I could have been murdered by his bodyguards because he hired a group of men to watch him and his team in a secure building. So it's almost impossible to like really jump into that situation and wave to him. But I took the chance. I didn't want to lose that opportunity. I realized he might have been a journalist. I didn't see anything beyond that, that particular day. And then I was really shocked with the fact that he had invited me to come and sit with him for an interview. So if you can remember, one of the things I mentioned in that particular chapter was that since learning English from movies, just by movies, I haven't had any interaction or encounter with a native-born English speaker. So for Paul, it was two things. Yeah, he found that I was practicing English with him because, you could listen to him in his interview. He would say, Abdi was using slang words that he learned from Hollywood. I would use the S word, the F word. I wouldn't just stop. Well, here I was, this guy who's kind of like acting frustrated, swagging in a city that's actually criminalizing all kinds of things that I was interested in. And then the words that came from him that became the motivation for the next few years were, you're going to get to the United States, right? Who would say that to me? And so that was something that I really touched deep my heart, and I took it and went with it. I know Paul and I were separated from there, and everything has become virtual, like it is these days. He never came back to Mogadishu. I never made it out to anywhere else, but our communication. I think at some point it's actually not okay for journalists to become friends with people that they have reported about. Except this moment that Paul realized, well, this is more than journalism because I'm really experiencing the real life experiences of these people. And if I don't become friends with them, I think it's kind of betrayal to just report about them, take pictures of them, and publish, and then move away from there. So he stayed to his word. I'm your friend is one of the things he said, and we continued. I don't want to take the whole time, but I would like to also say to Paul, it was emotional. I think I remember him in one of the emails, and he said, if I don't hear from you for 1 week, I probably assume that you're not with us, that you're dead, right? Because there was one generator, we call it a cyber cafe. It's where you rent a few minutes to use the internet and email. Sometimes that doesn't really work, and I don't have internet access to myself or my cell phone, or never had a computer. So Paul would sometimes not hear from me for 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Sometimes it goes on a month, and that's what he assumes. He talks to his team at the news center in the morning. Would say, "Well, I used to hear from Abdi, who's really good, became a good friend of mine, but I'm assuming that they murdered him, that he's not with us. There's no other way that I can find out about that." And then next time I emailed him, I introduced him to my brother Hassan, who's in Kenya, who I said, if you don't hear from me, check with Hassan. He will probably know because he has connections in the area. If I'm still around or not. So the reason I'm telling you this conversation is it's just about death and loss and misery. And now he and I are friends, and we hang out. I don't know if you know this. Paul is doing a 7-year sort of like trip. He's tracing humanity, like where we started. So he started from Ethiopia, and he's walking his way through the globe. And when he has email, or access to email or Twitter, I get message from him, and we just have really great time most of the times, and I think next year will be his last year of this trip, and then he will probably come back and retire, and we will probably work together on a small book to connect together and talk about where it started and where it's right now. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Abdi. And Fetihya, what kind of support did you have?
Of course, my ex-husband, and when I met him, my initial plan was for me to go to Dubai to come to America. I did want to come to America, but to buy visa, you know. And then when I met my ex-husband, and that's how I came here. Like to answer your question, that's how my ex-husband, and he was support me to come here. Because we don't have long, like we only have 30 minutes. I know we have so many questions for Abdi, so I'm trying to keep the answer short. So this is supposed to be about my brother Abdi.
All right. Well, thank you so much for both of you sharing.
Fetihya, I think this is for both of us.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It is. She's being too humble.
Thank you. You're the best sister.
Thank Thank you.
It's so nice to hear, though, how you all got here, and we're so glad you're here.
Thank you.
Fetihya, how long did it take you once you left? How long did it take you to get to America? We have a good sense of how long it took Abdi. How long did it take you?
When I met my ex-husband, you mean, or when I went to Djibouti? Like when I met my ex-husband, to start the process, honestly, it took like 4 months.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
But because of him.
Because he was military. So when you're military, embassy, they respect military. So, and what he makes the process really easier, I came in fiance visa. So if it was marriage, is longer. It takes like year and a half. Since it was like we're supposed to come visit, you know, and go back if we don't get married. So it takes like four months.
Quite a short process. Yes.
Yes, but I know they gave me kind of, when we knew each other for a short period of time, and when I went for interview and she looked my paperwork, then she said, I'm not proven. I said, why? I'm not giving you visa. I said, why? Because you guys didn't know long enough for you to go to America. I'm like, okay. She gave me the passport. I left. Then when he called and he said, did you get the visa? I said, no. You know, again, him being in service, so he called direct to Ethiopia embassy. The next day, she have to call me to come to get my visa.
Oh,
yes.
I think it's important for everybody to know, Fetihya, that you left your family, though, at age 12. Is that correct?
Yeah, and my son. So what happened was my ex-husband processed and he hired a lawyer. When he hired a lawyer, he told the lawyer, I had a son. So what they explained to me, the lawyer told him that if her son come with her as fiance visa, and it's gonna take long process, like it's gonna take long because now you have to file for her son as well. And then I think he advised him for me to come first and come fiance visa and to visit if everything goes well between me and him, and get married to bring my son. So that was the plan. So I talked to my mom, my family. They say, you know, okay, he's with me. My mom. She told me he's with us, you know, and you go ahead and you will bring your son. So And when I came here, everything changed. You know, again, it's a long story, but it took me 10 years to bring my son here.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It was easy, the process to come here.
Yes.
But being here, I was sacrificing, you know, and trusting.
Yes.
I trust what they say. They will do it, you know, and he will do it. That is my ex-husband. And the choice, the decision, the sacrifice, and I made.
Yes.
I being here, I pay for it. So the consequences, because my son, I am responsible for him, you know, and taking chance, risk something I didn't know.
Yes.
I don't know what is in here, U.S., but when we say in America, I believe it is the greatest country. But wherever we go, they will always be challenged. And whatever action we take, there will always consequences, if it's good or bad.
Yes.
So leaving my son, it was not abandon him. It was giving him the life I didn't have.
Yes. And
at the time, what I thought was right. Now looking back, I don't know if I would have made different, you know, it was different mindset, you know, and but now he's here.
yeah.
But it was long ride for me. I take train when I was 11. I'm still on the train. But sister, I want to be off soon as possible. Like,
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Got the courage.
and, I learned so much.
Yes.
And I think it was reason I have to go through that for me to really appreciate the my kids, the love, and you want to give what you didn't have, you know. But sometimes that's not what they want. That's not what they need. Maybe sometimes they just need you.
Well, this helps us to appreciate what we have and the privilege that we've had to be living here and living in the United States. So your story is helping us to become aware so that we appreciate our lives. So thank you for the courage of just sharing that. Lauren, is there anything in the chat box that you'd like to share?
So some of our more general questions, I'm taking note of everything, everybody, so don't worry, we will get to all your questions. But one that I think is particularly relevant to what we're speaking about right now, just motherhood and all the challenges that's come with that for you, Fetihya, and also for Abdi, we have a question about your relationship with your mom, and that's going to lead us into our next question. So I'd like to pause and ask those questions really quick, and then I think Virginia is going to pick up with question number 3. So we have from Christopher Harkness for Abdi. What is one thing you have learned from your mother and her stories that you have kept with you today or perhaps still use? For example, my dad always told me you have to want it, and that has stayed with me to this day. So I think that's a great question for both Abdi and Fetihya. What's some advice that your mom has given you? And once you've responded to that, we will continue on with question number 3.
That was Christopher, wasn't it? So great question, Christopher, and I attribute a lot of where I am today to my mother, and I don't think anything has changed based on our relationship from when we were still little, you know, except that we've grown up and moved way apart, you know, so you can see different continents, 2 different countries. But every time I speak over the phone with her, at least once a week, she definitely talks to me like she did forever. She hasn't really gotten into sort of like understanding that this guy has grown up, and that's not a bad thing. It always is. It's a good feeling to have a mommy, you know, who says things that you used to hear when we were very little. And one thing that my mother has encouraged me a lot since I was growing up until where I am right now is do not lose connection with family members. And I think I understand why she says that. It's mostly because Somalia, more than a tribe, is actually a family. That's where it begins. If you look at the structure of society in Somalia, it's pretty homogenous group. Unlike Ethiopia, which is more of ethnicity, but Somalia we trace back to 10 father, and then we're all coming together. And I think my mother is worried in the recent years is that the distance and not really being able to be home, which is in Somalia, that might cause some forgetfulness or disconnection from family members and extended family members. And since I don't have any in the U.S., so she would just say, and this is pretty much almost every time we are on the phone. Have you been able to connect with your dad, who's still alive, but also has a second wife? And this is truly something amazing about most of the Somali mothers, and I would generally say most of the African moms, is that he was not really there for her throughout the years when she has been dealing with raising us, taking us to safety, and all of that. It's not necessarily that he walked away, but he's really given up on us, feeling like you're not gonna make it. You guys will probably not be alive in the next week or so. So I'm gonna go ahead and start a new family, and that's why he went to this new small town. Um, and my mom has not taken a second husband. Two things. Mostly, of course, it's unacceptable for a Muslim woman who's married to her husband. Doesn't matter how long they're gone, separated, but she has to have his, uh, you know, approval so that she can do that. But she's never spoken about that, even though my brother and I try to bring it up to say, "Mom, you're still young, so would you not want to talk for something else or talk to our father who's not here with us, just do a divorce, pressure him on a divorce so that you can take a second husband." And she said, "I'm not interested. I just want you guys to grow up." Right. So the same mom in 2021 who still tells me, "Have you been able to connect with dad? If you have not, then I'm really upset. I'm really sad." And that's amazing. And I think what we learned from that moment, what I learned from that moment is the importance of a family and a friendship and a relationship, and that it's more than a family. It's also something related to friendship. Where if you meet someone and connect with them and hear their stories, it's really important to be connected and to stay in touch. Christopher, I think that basically answers the question. And so, yeah, I would like to leave it there and let Fetihya take it over.
I'm not even reading my back chat.
Abdi, you really covered the next question that we were going to ask, and we'll get back to you, Fetihya. Virginia March from the Public Library has a question that she wants to ask both of you. Virginia, are you there?
Yes, I'm there. I was going to share my video, but it does not want to. So, Fetihya, chapter 13, Abdi says Little Mogadishu is still a daily test, and that survival depended on strength, wits, and good luck. Would you be willing to share your views and your thoughts about survival?
Survival, and like I said before, and grown up, I personally, I have to sell stuff. I just, whatever I can find, potatoes, egg, and sambusa, and bread, And age 6, I was out and selling. So I feel like still in this age, I'm surviving. Like I'm trying to survive. And I've been running. Okay, I'm good with running. And I didn't realize that I started from young age. I was sitting yesterday and thinking and praying, meditated. When even I was selling the potato and egg, we are in big market, okay? So you must have to attract your customer by showing you potato, whatever you're selling. Like I have to show my bread is good than the next. You know, that's how we survive. And because I do not want to go home not selling and sleep without not having food in my stomach and my family, my brother, and you know, and I'm still this day. I'm trying to survive, but I want to live. Like after this, I just want to live meaningful life. So you know, it's time for me to live now, and I'm tired of surviving. But yes, for me, I've been fighting my whole life. I feel like I've been not fighting people, fighting to live, fighting for the right, fighting for to make the right things that I'm talking about now, growing things that I didn't made better choices. Now I have to go back and redo it and fix it, and I'm still surviving.
That's what stands out to all of us. Lauren, the chat box is just blowing up.
Yes, yes. So I'm going to go ahead and go through. We have several questions. Thank you, everyone, for your questions. Please feel free to continue to add those. I'm going to try to group together what we've been asked so far in a way that can kind of give us a little bit more of a coherent conversation. So first of all, we have some comments for Fetihya from Kara and Felicia. Kara says, Fetihya, you are a superhero, and Felicia says, you are a great mother, Fetihya. Good mothers make sacrifices for their children to have a better life. Blessings. So just some encouragement there for you, Fetihya. We have a note from our very special guest, Devin Holson is with us today. He says, thanks for the book, Abdi. It's helped my daughters understand why I did what I did in the military and made them to appreciate what we have here in America. So Devin joined us in the fall. I wonder if I can share a photo of him really quickly. Devin served in Somalia during Operation Restore Hope, Abdi, and so just thinking about like you two could have been there at the same time, like you could have possibly even met, which is just so cool. So Devin, we're so honored that you're here today. I hope you're still here with us. I think he might have had to step out because I don't see his name anymore, but if you can see my screen, here's a picture. Oh, here's a picture of Devin, and he did a great talk with us back in October. Yeah, and he deployed from December 1992 to February 1994 in support of Operation Restore Hope. So we were so thankful for the time that Devin gave to us when he was here in October. And oh, you're still here. Cool, Devin. So thank you for your question. And Abdi, we would love for you to meet Devin somehow, someday.
There he is.
Yeah, Devin. Oh,
Hi,
there you
Devin.
go. Look, you can see him. Devin is a teacher at a local school, so it looks like he's in his classroom right now. Hi, Devin.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I'm in between periods, so here in my share with Abdi, I got my Somali shilling here. That every time I deploy to a different country, I always save currency from that country. So I have this, and if I can get a little mailing address or anything, I have a little plaque from the Marine Corps that I want to send to Abdi.
Oh,
Just to say,
Devon,
hey,
I would love to connect with you.
most
Seriously,
definitely.
this is amazing. It's like history coming together right here.
I know.
it is.
And
Oh.
I'm ancient history.
Thank you for your service, Devon. It
No,
was,
hey, thank you for what you did. You know, my daughters, when I left for Somalia, my older daughter was only 6 months old, and when I got back home, she was 2. So, you know, she didn't recognize me, and you know, to Fatia's case, her mom sacrificed a lot to basically raise her without me being there. You know, so you know, I appreciate what Abdi did and the sacrifices he made to show that, you know, you can do it, and Fatia for just being a mom. You know, it's one of the toughest jobs that I know I don't want, and because there used to be times when I wanted to go to the field to get away from the house full of women that I lived in. So, you know, great job. Thank you so much. And like I said, the book has been an inspiration. I've had a few of my students read it, and it's an eye opener because a lot of people take for granted, you know, what it is to have something and when they've never had nothing, or you know. And even here in the States, you know, even my daughters, I tell them, you know, you think you know poverty, but you don't know poverty. You don't know hardship. You don't really know sacrifice until you know you see it from somebody else's perspective sometimes. So, you know, I really appreciate it, and you know, I've read the book twice already, and you know, it's one of the things that we started a little library here at our school, and the books are in there. But from both of you, Abdi, Fatia, thank you, and God bless.
Thank you.
thank you so
Devin,
much.
thank you for being here with us today.
No worries.
What a pleasure. And
Gets me out of work.
I have a feeling Abdi and Devin will be having more conversations with each other.
I sure hope so.
Absolutely.
That's beautiful.
So cool, Devin. Thank you I'm so glad you were able to rearrange
No
your
worries.
schedule to join us. Thank you so much for coming. Yeah, we originally met Devin with our culinary department. So we have a culinary connection over here because Fetihya is a master chef. So I
Oh,
think
awesome.
when this is
Well,
all, we all need to have
I'll
some
be
more.
talking to her more than I talk to Abdi then.
There you go.
Thank you so much, Devin.
No worries.
So we have a few questions about chapter 10 and then some more general questions about writing, Abdi. So first question from Felicia. Chapter 10 you wrote, this is more of a comment. I think you might have seen it, but I'll just speak it out loud so everybody can hear it. Chapter 10 you wrote, the foreign peacekeeping troops that poured into Mogadishu from Ethiopia and the African Union did not understand the complex history of Somalia's clan and rival. I thought that was a profound statement because I do believe getting to understand one's culture is the first step to building a trusting relationship. So great. Thank you so much for those thoughts, Felicia. Abdi, did you want to speak to any of that before we move on to our next question?
Yeah, sure. I think Felicia has really, you know, sort of like provided exactly what we need here. I think it's not only an African Union troops anymore. It's if you look at the history of the U.S. going to Vietnam, the Gulf War, and then recently Iraq and Afghanistan and Syria and other places. It's just that there is, I think, nations have, or leadership in some ways, dictatorial or whatnot. They have this intense desire to use violence within other countries, and somehow that, you know, they assume that benefits them, while they're actually basically killing citizens of that nation and tearing the country even way apart. Those African troops that I'm talking about, I was there when they have arrived in 2007, and now we're in 2021 and they haven't even left. They're still there. What have they really done to bring peace and prosperity back into Somalia? It's more like Afghanistan and Iraq. They have literally nothing. They have not done anything except that they have really created more graveyard, you know, all over Mogadishu. And I was surprised when I was talking to my mother the other day, and I was asking her, "Where are you?" And she said, "I'm at the African Union graveyard." And I was like, "I never heard of that. What are you talking about?" But she said, people who are killed by these troops now actually have overcrowded other places, and now we've created a new space out on the city, outskirts of the city, where we named after them because they're the ones killing us, so that we don't have to forget. We have to tag them, this name. So this has to continue for the generations to come, so that like I asked the same question that 20 years from now, the boy or the girl who's going to be born tomorrow or the next week will probably have to ask, why was this graveyard named after those guys? Was it a good thing or was it a bad thing? And then the explanation comes in. It was not a good thing. They've been here, just throwing waters everywhere whenever, Al-Shabaab just fires at them with an AK-47, and the response is just massive and crazy. So they don't understand. Going back to Felicia's point, I think the fundamental thing here is understanding the culture of these people, connecting with them through language and through their culture. And then that is the beginning of a friendship. You're not doing that. You're bringing your weapons to my neighborhood and my house. I don't see any way that is actually creating any peaceful world that we have.
Great, thank you so much for your thoughts, Abdi. The second question from Chapter 10 is from a community member. Chapter 10 speaks on several aspects surrounding religion. And I like the way they worded this, were you running from a religion of peace to peace from religion? Do you address the pain of people like Faisal who seem to be choking for the rituals at the beach?
What was I running from? Well, it's definitely part of what I was escaping. Somalia has been going through a war. It wasn't religious up until 2006. So as you read the book, you realize that I turned 20, and now we're in different age, and Somalia has one of the greatest shifts of power, that Al-Shabaab has arrived. And I really hate associating Al-Shabaab and Al-Qaeda and Taliban and those groups to Islam, because the way I find is that they are hijacking the name and are absolutely using it to their own advantage. They came up with their own translations based on the faith. So I don't want to say I was running away from religion, because if I say that, it is my faith and it's my religion. I would rather say I was, escaping and running away from a group that misrepresents and misinterprets the faith of Islam. Basically, Wahhabism, a group who would say, oh, walking with a girl to the beach is a crime, so we're gonna have to beat you for that. Where in Islam does that say? So it's just their own version. They created it. Music is haram. Music's not supposed to be something that you're supposed to listen to. If you do, we're gonna cut your head off. Well, where in the religion does that say that? I mean, I belong to it. I memorized the Quran, and I grew up with the Sufi version. I've never heard anybody say that up until these guys have arrived. So I would say I was looking for a safe world where I can thrive, where I can have fundamental freedoms like I have now, where without anybody trying to threaten my faith, that I could exercise whatever rights that I have, including prayers to whatever God I believe in, and having a neighbor who's not necessarily from the same faith and the same clan and the same skin color, but having a neighbor who respects and appreciates the differences that I bring, as much as I appreciate the differences that they bring, learning from each other. And this is the kind of world I have envisioned for a long time. But with the group, now running Somalia, it's the opposite. It's more, if you're different, if you're not thinking more like us, if you're starting to think creatively, if you're starting to question things, right? I think it's important that we have to question things. Like, why is this? Why do I have to do this? But as long as that's not allowed and acceptable, well, to them, you're not one of them. So in this case, you just have to go, meaning, they can murder you for that. So the easy way I could say is just that I wasn't really interested, and I found that if I didn't leave, I would have been forced to a recruitment, which is a one-way ticket. There's no way I could come back from that.
Yeah, thank you so much, Abdi. Fetihya, I know we are running out of time for questions, but I know that faith has played an important part in your life because of your father and your mother, and that your experience with faith in Ethiopia is a little different than Abdi's. Do you want to speak to that quickly?
Oh, yes. I just want to say thank you, Abdi, for not giving up on your faith. I'm so admire you and proud of you. And for me, I came from both. Okay, not only I live with Christian now, I came from Christians. Okay, and so having my parents, you know, even my mom, she reversed to Islam before my dad, but her parents, her sisters, they all Christians. So it did affect me watching the way my mom, she'd been treated by my dad's side, you know, not my dad, but her mom, my grandmother. And now living here, Abdi, I agree with you. I believe that is nothing said in the Quran what people says about Allah. It does not make sense to me how people tell me they love the creator but they hate his creation. It does not make sense to me. If how would you destroy his creation? How you love one, hate the another one? For me, that's how I feel. How I hate my mom, her where she came from, where I came from, and love my dad's side. It does not make sense to me. And I believe that we all have title to believe what we believe. If you can believe on something, why can't I believe something different than you? Why can't I? Tell me why. Give me the reason why. So we're here now in United States. I believe that we can respect people. I feel like the same how Abdi feel, and respect. And you don't have to agree with me, but can we respect one another to get along? Yes. I
I just think that that's just perfect. It comes down to respect. Yeah. So thank you so much. And I know you have such a unique perspective because your father was an imam. So yeah, that just very cool. So thank you so much for sharing. Now we have so many questions, everybody. I'm gonna ask Abdi to quickly answer some of the questions about writing the book. We have one final question from our moderators, and then we have to do our raffle and everything. So if we have time after that, I'd like to get into some of our other great questions that we have. But really quickly, Abdi, some of our questions about writing. From Eric Vithalani, he's an English instructor here on campus. Can we ask Abdi to talk about his writing process, specifically with the book? I think it'll be good for students to hear about his process. Thanks. Sarah was asking, what is your biggest takeaway from writing Call Me American? And Dee asks if you've received any backlash from your Somalian friends since writing the book. So I feel like those questions are beginning, middle, and end of the writing process, if you care to speak to that quickly.
Sorry, I was on mute. I didn't realize that. I apologize. I'm going to start with question number one, which is the process of writing the memoir. I actually started writing the entire book on my native language first, and then had to go through the translation process of it. And the reason I did that, it was double the work, of course, but the reason I did that was to get the emotions out. And I've been interviewing my family members, talking to my mother about our childhood stories, and I've been taking notes in Somali. I've recorded our voice in Somali as well, and I've been deeply moved by that. For some of you, you probably know that I'm not a native English speaker, so sometimes it feels comfortable if you want to write in whatever language you think, in whatever language you dream. And to me, that was my native language. To those of you now probably watching this or taking notes, you can start if you're a native English speaker, and that's how it comes to you. So I went back to several journals that I made before I came to this country. In Kenya, I've been taking notes almost every single day because every day was an eventful day. And then before that, I actually brought myself with a bunch of emails that I swapped with Paul Solopek. And before that, there was nothing available that was written down anywhere. Everything else was lost, and that is when my mom has filled the gap when I really had questions about what was happening when I was 5 years old. I couldn't remember all the things I wrote in the first 1, 2, 3, and 4 chapters. And so thanks to mom and thanks to Hassan, my brother, who've been there, who helped me. So and then after I gathered all the information that I wanted, filled up probably 2 books of just taking notes. I sat down and I started writing. I was writing almost every single day, at least 2,000 words, a day, until I could think that the chapters have sort of like come together. And then I wrote a proposal to get it to the publisher. And the publishing world is, as you probably know, not really easy, but I've been very lucky in some ways, because my story was on This American Life, which is a famous podcast. Ira Glass, if you know him. So they did a whole documentary about my journey coming to the United States, and that has been great. And the other question of Sarah, I think, was it Sarah? The lesson that I learned, or what's one takeaway, I think is what it was from writing Call Me American. I learned the power of storytelling. I've really been truly shaped as a person myself from people who have been giving me a feedback based on the book and what they have heard on the book, and as well as others who followed me along the way, or have heard the stories that were on the radio. And so the biggest takeaway here is that there's so much need for these kind of stories. And so part of what I do these days is work with young men and women from high school to college, as well as new immigrants, either in Maine or Boston area or other places, to just let them know that there's definitely an audience out there that would be willing to listen to your questions, not questions, comments or stories, if you want to write a book, or if you want to end up on a podcast. And that might create bringing people together, as much as I've been coming closer to most of the audience that I've been talking to. The other question is backlash from, was it friends or community, or I didn't hear that. But I think there's always a backlash that authors have received. I've received a backlash from people who I assume are, hate to say this, Trump supporters, who would just say, your betrayal of the president on chapter 16 and 15 is actually not correct. I mean, he's not a racist, he's not this, he's that. That's one thing. I have also received backlash from members of the community in terms of writing about, I don't know if you remember in chapter 16, when I talked about Portland, Maine, and living closer to the mosque.
Yeah.
Go back to that moment when we are watching a movie all night long, and then at 2 a.m., I just went to bed at 1 a.m. and 2 a.m., the imam, the leader from the mosque, would just knock at the door and drag us out. So I wrote about that, and that has been found to be sort of a little bit exposing. I wasn't supposed to really go ahead and write that in the book, and that's what members of the community are saying. And their reason was that we're in a Trump era, we could get exposed to hate and blah, blah, blah. And but one thing that they probably didn't realize is, if you're a writer, you just write. It doesn't matter how difficult or complicated the situation is, as long as you have observed and experienced that, you have every right to write. The same way I wrote about Faiza, my first girlfriend's father, and those interactions that I had with him. And so that was also one other thing. I didn't have any other backlash, as far as I can remember, that came from anywhere else. Before I published the memoir, I was actually expecting that the guys I worked with in Maine at the construction company would probably be the biggest backlash, since they were not okay with those stories, drinking, talking about all kinds of things. If you remember from chapter 15, titled "Padding Squat." But I haven't actually. It's made us kind of more friends, and they've been surprised that the story ended up in a book that is widely published. So those were all the questions, and I hope that you guys are. No, I have not been home. I can see the question here. If you mean home, Somalia, D? No, I have not. No, I haven't met Arnold Schwarzenegger yet.
Bucket list. And there are a few more that we haven't gotten to yet, Abdi, but we want to be respectful of your time. I'm going to let Sally wrap it up. I think she had one last quick question as a moderator, but I'm going to ask all of the students who are here today, if you are attending for extra credit, please write in the chat your class that you're here for and the instructor. Sally is going to go ahead and wrap us up. Then we will have our raffle. And just a reminder, we have another event with Abdi coming up in March. So any questions that we haven't gotten to today, we will have a second opportunity to ask of Abdi. So all of our students, please go ahead and let me know if you're here for extra credit. And I'm going to turn it over to Sally.
Thanks, Lauren. Abdi and Fetihya, the very last question is, we would love to know, where do you see yourselves 5 years from now? What is your goal? Where do you see yourself, Abdi, 5 years from today? There he is.
Sally, that's a good question.
One year. And you also we owe you a congratulations on your 1-year anniversary of your U.S. citizenship. So congratulations, Abdi.
Thank you so very much. I appreciate that. I see myself advocating a lot for the world's marginalized communities in 5 years from now. So I'll probably, I don't know, I'm hoping to become an ambassador somewhere, doing a lot of work to help ease the situations that most migrants and refugees are going through now. So that,
I missed that last part, Abdi.
I was basically saying that in 5 years from now, I am hoping to contribute as much as I can with all my energy, education, to better the most vulnerable communities, the marginalized communities, not only here, but outside of our country, refugees, immigrants, asylum seekers.
Wonderful, wonderful. Fetihya, where do you see yourself 5 years from today?
I'm continuing with my education, so to get my GED, and my life is just starting for me now. Hopefully I will get off from the train and to start writing my book and to start my business. And yeah, that is my hope, that open restaurant and marketing my spice.
Everybody look out in Jacksonville. There's going to be a wonderful restaurant opening up with Fetihya Hall's name on it. We can't thank you enough. I mean, there just aren't words for the time that you've spent with us today. We are so excited, Abdi, that we will have another opportunity virtually on March 3rd. And I want everybody to know and start getting the word out that Abdi will be with us on Wednesday, March 3rd, giving a presentation with us virtually, giving a presentation at 1 o'clock and with time for questions and answers. And then he will be joining the community virtually at 7 o'clock that evening for what we're calling an eat and greet. Grab your dinner or your dessert and chat with Abdi, and that'll be an evening opportunity. So we're so excited about that. And the last book discussion for everybody attending today will be February 23rd, when we'll be wrapping up chapters 14 through 16, and hope that many of you can attend that as well. So with further ado, let's do our raffle.
Yes, okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Today we are raffling off 2 wonderful OBOC books, not books, tumblers. They have our OBOC logo on them. This one is a hot drink tumbler. It has a nice lid to it, ergonomic shape, and then we have a cold drink tumbler. So the way that we always do this is with the wheel of names. Here we go. We have all of our active attendees in here. Let me just maximize my screen. And oh, there we go. Our first winner of the hot drink tumbler is Bethany Hunter. Congratulations, Bethany Hunter. And then the winner of our cold drink tumbler is Jenny Bogdanoff. Congratulations,
Jen.
Thank you both for joining us. Congratulations, and feel free to stop by the library and pick these up whenever it is convenient to you. Yeah, thanks everyone.
Thank you so much.
It's so hard to say goodbye, but we'll see you on March 3rd.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Okay,
Absolutely.
bye-bye, Abdi. Thanks for
Bye.
coming.
Bye.
Bye, Abdi. Thank you.
Love you, sister. We'll talk soon.
Bye, Tia.
Bye-bye.